episode 177. Thank you all for listening to episode 176, Five Guys, Murders, and Lies. I am Gary here with my co-host,
Bear.
Cody Bryant.
Bear and Cody Bryant. Welcome back. Of course, this is our, I think, 6th week or 7th week of doing quarantined episodes, so it's been pretty fun. We'll continue on. We got a special guest today, and first, we want to thank him. So thanks to Wes Anderson for Moments in Time. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on Twitter at Songs by Wes. He just dropped Mind Quarantine featuring Ted Bone of Pacifier last Friday. And good news is we have that song for you here today, and we are going to play it right now. All right, so we're back. That was Mind Quarantine from Wes Anderson featuring Ted Bone from Pacifier. And now with us, we've got Wes Anderson. What's up, man?
Hey. How's it going, guys? Good to be here.
Happy to have you. We thank you like every show for Moments in Time, man. Around the time we started the podcast, I heard that song and I was like, dude, I got to reach out to Wes. That song is so dope. Yeah. It's perfect for the show. We love it. And
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That was the first single I did with this like solo project I'm doing. So I had no really benchmark of like what kind of response I get from like doing my own stuff. I was always doing the bands, and having you guys be one of the first people to reach out, hop on board, and like, of course, I'm gonna say yes if you want to use it in your podcast. So, you guys are the OGs.
We try, and we know we mentioned Anthony Wayne a few times. Ryan, the other Ryan here, is Cody Bryant, as he goes by on the show, and then Ryan is Bear, and then I just changed my name. Seems like every episode, but Bear also went to Anthony Wayne, just like me and you, and Wes and I, of course, class of 05, and long time ago.
15 years, dude. This summer, man. How crazy is that, dude?
No shit about my class of 05.
Dude, such a trip.
Yeah, man. I who would have thought, 15 years later, we're all doing these different things. You're putting music out there, and I want to talk about that. Like the thing I remember that I got into listening to your music, you were with, I think, Fiction 20 Down, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you want to tell us about, kind of how you got started into music, your first acts, some inspirations, anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So I would say like the start of my professional pursuit of music was about 10 years ago. I had moved to college, or I moved to Chicago after college, and I started doing like the corporate job routine, and like kind of wanted something else to like, balance that out. So I actually linked up with a band there that I was with for 2 years. Mostly stuck around doing local shows, did a couple regional shows. Actually, we played Howard's in BG, which was awesome. And the bassist of that band was called Shanghai Superstars, and the bassist of that band was actually the guy, Mark Lewandowski, who did bass on mine Quarantine.
Nice.
We've stayed in touch and kept friends over the years. Like I flew out to Chicago a couple years ago to his wedding and stuff. So it's kind of cool how, even though our paths changed, that we were able to keep in touch and eventually collaborate again. But then that band was starting to fall apart, and I was getting a little more tired of the corporate job situation. So I started looking, keeping my options open, and I saw Fiction 20 Down, who I was aware of just because of, I always follow bands that are at a similar level or a similar style, and just kind of see who's out there I can link up with, or, show swaps or whatever. So I saw they were looking for a guitarist in Maryland, and I hit up their singer Jordan, and short, I flew out, auditioned, and ended up just moving to Maryland, and I've been here since, and that was in 2012. So that band was Fiction 20 Down, and then the same guys and me, we sort of rebranded to Big Infinite in 2016, and then I was doing Big Infinite with them until 2018 when I started my solo project. So about overall 10 years of like a professional pursuit, and then, a couple different iterations of bands. And then ultimately, I'm still here doing these solo releases, and starting to play shows again too, in a totally new format, which has been really exciting. I've been starting to tour out of town a little bit, and we're hoping to do that more aggressively this year, but obviously things are a little on hold right now. So hopefully once some shows happen again, I can get back on the road. But yeah, it's been a long, weird trip, but I'm still on my feet, and I'm still putting out stuff, and, having fun with it.
Heck yeah, man. I was supposed to be actually in DC this past Monday. I was supposed to work a stadium show out there. I think from that kid from One Direction, Niall, whatever the fuck. Can't remember his name, but he was supposed to work a show with him, and then I had Garth this weekend in Charlotte. But obviously, shows are on hold. Stadium shows probably aren't going to happen the rest of this year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that like club shows will probably happen sooner than the stadium shows, and for the industry, the stadium shows and the arenas and festivals, that's where the money's at. So who knows what the fuck the industry as a whole is going to look like in a year, and it's one of those survival of the fittest tests where, a lot of bands are going to adapt and find new ways to keep the money coming in, and a lot of bands might just fold. So it'll be interesting to see.
So when you're doing your own music, and I'm going to ask you several questions about your own music. When you're
Sure.
doing that, what types of things that go into it? You know, the different collaborators. What all do you put into it yourself? I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah, so and I'm strictly just talking about the solo Wes Anderson project. So each single is definitely different, but it always starts with me and my guitar. So I write all the music to all the songs. So that's where it all starts. And I primarily just write on guitar, and then from there I'll record a demo in the studio, kind of start putting the vision together, and then from there I'll start to get an idea of the vibe of the song, and then start brainstorming potential collaborators. So everyone's different, as you've probably heard. Each song has a pretty different vibe to it, but that's on purpose because that's just how I want to do it. But between and then the process of getting the collaborators in itself is a freaking journey, which is some easier than others. Like some guys like Howie and the guys from Valley who are just friends of mine that I've made in Maryland. So that's just a text message like, hey, you want to hop in this song? And it's as easy as that. Whereas the most recent single, Keep Them Talking, took me over like 6 months to find a singer. It's like I had King Green, the rapper dude. I already had his verses, and he had just done a collaboration with Eminem, that song Caterpillar, if you guys remember that. I think it's actually a Royce song, Royce to 5'9", and then Eminem is on it, and King Green did the hook on it. So I was like telling like these other singers that I'm hitting up, I'm like, hey, like I already got Green on this. Like he just did the hook in this Eminem song, and like no one like got back to me. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Like how do you not want to hop on this? But you know, not everyone wants to do that type of stuff, so it's all good. But yeah, so getting the collaborators is always a challenge. A lot of times, the first couple people, not a lot of times, but sometimes the first people I have in mind aren't the ones that work out. So I just kind of have to pivot and start thinking elsewhere. So I guess I could give an example of that is for my next summer release, it's kind of like a reggae dubstep hip hop vibe. And typically when I start reaching out, I'll just aim really high, like major label artists or whoever, and just work my way down, just because you never know. So for that one, I hit up Tech Nine's management, and I figured it wouldn't work out, but I was like, one of the guys at the email I hit up responded in like minutes. I was like, hey, want to talk today? I was like, oh shit. I want to talk. And I figured it'd be a pretty short conversation because Tech is a dude that, you know, he's always hustling and working, and he does so many collaborations. So I figured his rate to do a guest verse is really, and it was. So it was a very quick conversation, but the dude was so professional. And I was like, well, hey, what other strange music artists do you have on his label that might be, you know, on a more like smaller scale, or someone that might, you know, be open to hopping on a track with me? And then he told me about this group Mayday. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're sick. And I wasn't super familiar with them. And then I checked them out. And I was like, this is an even better fit than Tech Nine. And I already got their verses. And so they're the next ones on my next single. But yeah, so it's a journey. But I record all my guitars here in Baltimore. I have a studio here I go to. And some of the guys will just record remotely and bounce tracks to me. Sometimes I'll fly out to them if I think like, you know, there's a benefit to being in the studio, because I want to make everything more as like personal as possible. Like, you know, some guys just want to do email exchanges, but it's like we're creating music, and like, you know, sure, we can just keep it business and do it professional, but like I try to make it as personal and like make a connection with these people, because, you know, we're making something personal. It's art. So I've been able to do that. I flew out to California a couple times to record with some guys. Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's like always exciting, and you never know who's next. And it's not like a traditional band setup where you just do like an album every couple of years or a single every now and then, and it's like with the same guys. And so this is like ultimate freedom. So it's cool.
I'm happy for you, man. That's you're putting out amazing stuff, and Moments in Time is near and dear to my heart, and of course because it's part of this show, it's what got us together.
Yeah.
I've got Your Back Kid, as you and I have been talking, is my son's favorite song, and we got the Aki Bop shirt coming. I know he's excited. I sent you the video of him singing that in the car because he just loves that song, but he caught me. What has and Mine Quarantine, of course, is just another jam. And like you said, they're all different. I love all of them. They've been great. What has been for you your favorite one that you've done?
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is my second single, One of One, because Peanut from 311 is on that, and they're the reason I got into music in the first place. So for him to just hop on a track with someone like me, who's like, compared to 311 is a nobody. And I think he's the only one that didn't expect any money at all. Just like, I went through 311's manager and like, yada, yada, yada. A month later, I have his bass tracks in my inbox. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's amazing.
So that was just like a crazy moment. But I would say like Mine Quarantine is another favorite because that's probably the most hands-on I've been in terms of songwriting, production value, and lyrical content. Usually with the vocalists, I kind of let them do their own thing. I'm not a lyricist. I don't write words. Those guys are the pros. So I trust them to like understand the vibe of the music and just put their touch on it. That's all I really can ask for. But with this one, I went to Ted and gave him a theme I had in mind. Because I thought up the song title like last summer, and I was like, this is the song title. And then I'm going to make sure the lyrics work around that. And so Mine Quarantine is another favorite because of I had the most involvement just in all aspects of the song in that one. And
it's an amazing song, and I know I figured you were going to mention One of One because of Peanut. Wanted you to mention, of course, and I saw you got to hang out with them and all that too. That was pretty neat. What was that experience like?
It was, you think of like your high school dreams come true. I had to really, really try my best to not let myself fangirl out too hard, and just some moments watching that video after the fact. I caught myself a couple moments like just gushing, like when he told me that his wife and kids love the song and that like he played it for them, and like just kind of knowing that my song was playing in one of my heroes' like households it was just like it was a moment for me. But dude, I mean, he could not have been a cool dude. Like they're from the Midwest and just so down to earth, so gracious. Like after we were just supposed to hang out, do the meet and greet, and then hang out with Peanut and like just chat for a little bit. And then afterwards, he asked if we had backstage passes, and I was like, "Nah, we just kind of organized, this right here, but we're just gonna go check out the show later." And he's like, "Follow me." So he takes me and my friend through the tour buses, finds one of the roadies, like, "Hey, get my buddy Wes and his friend some VIP passes." The roadie is like, "Say no more." And then so we were just like hanging out back for a while, but that's actually a lot more boring than you think. Like because they're older now, they're like in their late 40s, so they just hang out in the buses until it's like showtime. So backstage area was not fun. So I was like, we're gonna go in the crowd anyways. But thanks. So I mean, it's just a testament to how cool he was, and like he follows me on Twitter and like he like likes a lot of my tweets and stuff. So that whole experience was just like, it was a moment.
I love that, man. That continued success and just what you're doing, and you work hard. I mean, you're a true test. You bust your ass and you work hard for what you want. You're going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, as simple and obvious as it sounds, just not stopping is typically a winning formula.
Absolutely. I've got a few more things here. I want to let the guys ask stuff too. I mean, I don't want to sit here. I had an agenda of questions to ask.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got them all, bud. You're taking everyone else's questions.
So besides, Peanut and that experience in 311, like other inspirations or favorite musicians or bands that you had in the past growing up until now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, beyond the ones you just mentioned, I would say Incubus is high up there. Mike Enziger, their guitarist, is a huge influence on mine, and you can definitely hear his impact on me through my songs and my guitar parts and the effects and all that. So I would say Incubus is up there. Tom Morello, Rage Against the Machine. I think the riff in the chorus of mine, Quarantine, reminds me a lot of Rage. Like I kind of just let myself.
Yes.
Those simple one note Morello style riffs, that's kind of what I was channeling with that. And then, I like to go back and study some jazz guys like Wes Montgomery, John Schofield, Grant Green, like jazz funk fusion guys, just to like practice too and get my chops up. But in terms of like what my sound most represents or is influenced by is probably like the 311 Incubus, Rage, like kind of like the fusion of hard rock riffs and a little, worldly vibes, reggae or hip hop, and a little bit of funky aspect to it as well.
Love it, man. So I'm going to ask you just made me think of another one. I want to hear, if you can narrow it down to one each, your favorite vocalist, bassist, guitarist, drummer.
Well, guitarist, I got to say Tim Mahoney from 311, just because that's what got me into playing guitar. He got me into Paul Reed Smith guitars, which is what I play now. And I've actually been endorsed by them since 2013.
Congratulations.
So, artist rep as he does. So, and their global headquarters is in Maryland. It's like 45 minutes outside of Baltimore. So I got to tour the facility, meet Paul Smith himself. And so Mahoney and Paul Reed Smith, as far as guitars go, that's one. Vocalist, as far as like lyrics go, I'd say like Brandon Boyd, Incubus. I think his lyrics are it's like poetry almost. He has a very unique way of delivering his messages. So I'll go with Brandon. Bass, I mean, besides Peanut, I would say Les Claypool from Primus. He's just one of those bassists you can just listen to him play by himself for hours and not get sick of it. He's just so sick. And then drums, maybe like John Bonham, Led Zeppelin. I think he was like I always respect musicians that can play such complicated and such nuanced parts and make them sound like so simple. So, Bonham is always in the pocket. It's very danceable music, but his little fills and his like drum kick patterns and hi-hat patterns are just next level when you like just sort of like isolate them out and try to focus on them. I'll go with that.
Yeah, you got to give his kid a lot of credit too. When he played at that 2007 concert in England, when they reunited for that one night, and his son, but Jason Bonham, his son, played drums for him in his place.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Yeah. I got to check that out.
Yeah, it was Celebration Days, what it was called. It was 2007, and they played a whole concert. It was for Ahmet Ertegun from Atlantic Records, who got them their start. And so he had passed away, and they played a whole concert, and there's a DVD and CD together, and you can listen to it all on Spotify. So if you listen to just that Celebration Day from 2007 on Spotify, you'll hear it's Jason Bonham on drums. He did a great job in honor of his dad.
Wow, that's sick. Yeah, I got to check that out.
Definitely. So I'm glad you came on, and I know you said you're going to stay with us for the rest of the show, so we appreciate that. So again, Wes, thanks for joining us and telling us more about your music, and of course we hope to have you on in the future, and we got you the rest of this episode, so thank you again.
Thank you.
And then before the show, I held on to this. We always do a shot before the show. I saved this, a drink or something. Sorry. So drink to you, Wes. Congratulations on all your success, buddy.
Cheers.
Happy quarantine.
Almost made me spit my shit out.
This is the second time I've had alcohol since March 14th. So for some people that may not be much, but for me that's a long time.
Man, all that quarantine and held off that long, that's impressive.
Yeah, I was just, Didn't want to drink. I don't have roommates, and you can't really go to bars and hang out with people. So I didn't want to just like drink by myself. But last Friday on the release, I indulged.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'll let you hear this part, and we'll do a quick transition into sports. So, of course, as always, thanks again, Wes. Thanks to Wes Anderson for Moments in Time. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on Twitter at Songs by Wes. Again, congratulations last Friday to Mind Quarantine coming out with Ted Bone from Pacifier. If you haven't heard that yet, check it out on Spotify. I'm sure you're on iTunes, all of that as well?
Yep. Anywhere you listen to music, just search my name.
Perfect. Again, check him out. And then we also want to thank our primary sponsor, All Wear Clothing. Check them out, allwearclothing.com. Thank you to Brandon for the Over the Line Sports Podcast shirts, the hoodies. Eventually we're going to get koozies as we get to episode 200. Hopefully we're going to get some banana hammocks, some thongs, some bras, some sweatpants, whatever the hell else people can think of. We know this quarantine's starting to lift open in Ohio, so be sure to check out Brandon at All Wear Clothing in White House. He's local to us. He can help you with all of your clothing needs. So again, allwearclothing.com. All right, so we're back. Wes, first thing I got to ask you, 4 major sports teams. Who are your favorite teams?
So I don't really have like favorite teams, my favorites throughout their existence. I have like teams that are like at a certain time that I like a lot. So 2016 Cavs, they're a favorite team. The Cubs from the mid-'90s when Sosa was crushing it.
Sammy Sosa, not Sam Sosa, for everybody listening.
Correct. For you youngins. The old school Dolphins when Marino was quarterback. And for whatever reason, when I was like real young, I was big into the Toronto Maple Leafs. Matt Sundin, you remember him? My dad took me to a game when I was like 8 years old up in Toronto on a family vacation. So for whatever reason, the Toronto Maple Leafs were like a favorite, like a lot of my childhood. So go with those 4.
Love it, man. So we'll continue on, of course, partake in any of this. Bear, I know, and Cody, you both mentioned we had a few MLB updates. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, on the player side, it's a little bit of sad news. Trey Mancini announced he had stage 3 colon cancer. Baltimore
Orioles. Yeah.
28 years old. Obviously, most likely going to miss the whole season if they even have it. It was actually his dad had stage 2 colon cancer in 2011. He said it was a potential hereditary thing, and their doctors told him last year that it was only a remote possibility that it's even possible. And then a year later, he gets it. It's crazy. So this just happened. He is undergoing treatment. So hopefully it all goes well for there. But that's rather unfortunate for him. Hopefully he does recover, make a full recovery on that. But some sad news out of baseball there.
And Cody, what'd you have on the divisions?
Yeah, they're still trying to get a season started, and try to get as many games as they can as possible. They've announced that season ticket holders and people that have bought tickets that have had games canceled so far due to the pandemic, they will be able to get their money back. And they're proposing a 3-division 10 teams each with a condensed season, probably maybe 1 or 2 locations, and run the season kind of World Baseball Classic style. But everything's still up in the air right now. Also, Hall of Fame weekend has been canceled. So, Jeter and Larry Walker, they won't be able to they won't be enshrined this year. They've canceled it at least until 2021. So, if you bought your Cooperstown tickets to watch Jeter get enshrined in the Hall of Fame, you probably had to wait till next summer. So that's about it with baseball.
And that happens, and that's okay. I'd be interested to see if they do the kind of World Baseball Classic type setup. but we'll see as this thing continues. I know the slow openings everywhere, and we'll see how if it keeps going down. But it's going to rise up a little bit more as people go out because they'll be like, I can fucking do whatever I want now. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares if Menards and Costco tell me to wear a mask?
Right.
Fuck them. We just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
so we got
MLB. They're talking about condensing the season. It'll still end in Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll still have 140. They'll still have 140 game season.
Right.
So NASCAR, we had a few things. I know a few of them. The iRacing was at Talladega this past weekend, and Alex Bowman won. Denny Hamlin, his daughter, shut off the game mid-race, so he automatically finished last, which I thought was hysterical. You can see that video. And then the other big news, actual big news, is Matt Kenseth is coming out of retirement to replace Kyle Larson for Chip Ganassi Racing, and they have a waiver request in to allow him to compete for the NASCAR Cup title when they come back. And I know, Barry, you have more information on that.
Yeah, so it sounds like NASCAR officially today said it will return May 17th for a Cup race in Darlington. 19th, they're going to do Xfinity in Darlington. Then they're going to move to Charlotte. Saturday, they'll have ARCA. Sunday, they'll do Cup. Monday, they'll do Xfinity, which is Memorial Day weekend. Tuesday in Charlotte, they'll do trucks. And then Wednesday, the 27th, they will have Cup there again. I'm assuming for the Roval would be my guess. They didn't. All it says, it just says Charlotte still. So I assume the Sunday Cup race will be the normal Charlotte the Coca-Cola 600. And then Wednesday, the 27th, another Cup race, and Charlotte, I'm assuming it's going to be the Roval. Have not that to be 100% accurate, but they wouldn't have Charlotte back-to-back, would be my guess, within a couple days. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen there. But that, to my knowledge, is the first sport that is saying it's coming back. I mean, besides PGA, but that's not June, I think it was.
Yeah, and I know I'm still interested to see if they do the Pocono races that were already scheduled to be back-to-back. So they'll kind of get ahead with Charlotte doing it first. And Wes, so now we're talking NASCAR. Did you have a favorite driver growing up, or current, or anything like that?
Never really got into it. I like playing they had a N64 game that was pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the most NASCAR experience I got, was playing the 64 game growing up.
Nice. And Bear, I think you said we had a big birthday today, right?
Yeah, well,
would have been.
I mean, I would have been. Yeah, Dale Earnhardt's birthday was today. Would have been 69 too, the old magic number. But he's been gone for 19 years, so
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, I saw today Junior posted something on Twitter. I think I saw, which is where I found that, or I wouldn't even know. So no, now it saves you one for the end of the show.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I remember when all that stuff happened.
Yeah,
and going to school that Monday after, and my American history teacher cried in class, as we were talking about.
I don't mean to laugh at that.
That's intense.
Yeah,
damn, dude. I mean, all right. I mean, hey, for all I knew, it was his uncle. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And speaking of nuts, and speaking of Dale Earnhardt dying, you should, if you need help with your lawn care, or to remove any nuts out of your yard, if you got those acorn nuts or anything like that, get in touch with Crandall's Quality Lawn Care. And I mention him as well because I happened to be with him 19 years ago when Dale Earnhardt died. And believe it or not, Wes, he was still with Leslie at that point, because we were at Leslie's house and we were all 14. She was actually 13. So
holy shit.
Yeah. And they are still, they were married, have a wonderful son, and but we got to thank Crandall's Quality Lawn Care. Give Sean a call, 419-704-5471. We'll go back to this, Bear. Serves the Toledo and surrounding areas, and not.
Stop.
Liberia. So thank you to Crandall's Quality Lawn Care. Serves the Toledo and surrounding areas, and not Liberia. And again, 419-704-5471 can help you with all of your banking needs, and especially if you need to have some nut removal. All right, so for NCAA, the NCAA governing body approved the proposal that will allow college athletes to receive compensation for third-party endorsements and promotions beginning in the 2021 and 2022 academic year. I'll start with you, Wes. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a super complex issue that, I didn't play sports in college, but in general, as just the capitalist that I am, I think if a law-abiding citizen has an opportunity to make money legally, why not? Like I'm sure there's tons of college kids that can make a lot of esports money on their own that aren't technically NCAA athletes, but are raking in endorsement checks. And, without the players, like what colleges would it even exist today if they didn't have these all-star athletes filling their stadiums and bringing all this money to their campuses? It's like, let's be real. Like, would Ohio State be Ohio State without football?
Right.
Academics are good, but the football's better and brings in a lot more money. So I'll just give an answer. I'll stand for it.
Yeah, that campus didn't look the way it does now until the football team started getting good.
Yeah, real.
Absolutely true. What do you think, Cody?
I mean, in the grand scheme of it, it's a good thing. I looked into it. I guess the biggest things with it now, guys can actually get endorsements. The only thing they can't do with it is they can't use the college's name. So they can get, like clothing endorsements or any type of merchandise like that, which is nice. But, when you break it all down, that only really applies to maybe, 6 people in all of college sports.
So if I had a question for you on it. So if somebody from like Oregon, gets the Ducks as like a stud and gets an offer from an Under Armour, can they not take it because the Oregon's affiliated with Nike?
No, they can take it.
They can take it. Okay.
Yeah. So like they can take it. So, which is nice, like these kids can actually make, some money, and, it helps the guys, from top all the way down to the bottom. So now, the punter or the gunner on special teams, he can go and get, say there's a grocery store or something that, maybe in his hometown that might want to sponsor him or something like that. He can endorse that grocery store, and get a little bit of money on the side for that, instead of trying to make it seem, instead of making it seem like he's working there and they're paying him under the table, and, then it becomes something more than what it really is.
So are they allowed to go out and get like Blue Chew?
Yeah, you can get some Blue Chew. Be ready for action.
Love it. Bear, what you think, man?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. You might as well. I mean, they've been, using names for the last, besides the last couple of years, before that, for the last hundreds of years anyway. So screw it, why not? I'd be pissed if not that it matters because, some of them are pros now, but I'd be pissed of the back pay I think I deserve if I was an athlete in 2008 when they were big in the NCAA football game, and that was huge money, since they would sell, I think, records amounts of copies, and you see everybody now just they want NCAA football back, everybody. So who knows what that is, but yeah, I mean, these guys deserve it. The NCAA is making billions and billions of dollars off of them every football season, just football season. I mean, hell, for the rest of the year, even basketball obviously as well.
Yeah, and they had to do something. I mean, especially now with the 2 top high school basketball prospects not signing for college at all and going straight to the league.
I was just about to say that.
I mean, that right there alone, granted, everybody is not a 5-star prospect that can go wherever they want, but just the simple fact that they can skip high school or skip college and play, professional, semi-professional basketball straight out of high school and then still possibly make it into the NBA. That right there, I mean, that's gonna, I don't know, over time, it'll hurt the NCAA, but I mean, because you won't have those big name players. I mean, just imagine if, Imagine if Zion Williamson and John Morant went to the G League instead of, Duke, or even what's the kid in Memphis, Weissman. Imagine if he went straight to the G League.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, that's gonna hurt college basketball. Like football, it'll survive because you can't. There's nowhere you're gonna get that level of competition to match, the NFL. So I mean, basketball, you can kind of work your craft, get a couple 10-day contracts and go from there. But I think in the end, though, this is it's gonna hurt college basketball.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. I mean, let them do their sponsors. Let them have sponsors. I don't give a shit. It doesn't make any difference to me. These kids are athletes. I know people have this argument of, oh, they get a free ride. Not all of them get a free ride. There are walk-ons and things like that. So definitely, I am all for it. They can make some money, do whatever they got to do. Who cares? It doesn't affect me any. And so I see some more ads with some college kids, whatever. Might be more apt to sell me some shit rather than some has-been. Who knows?
Right. And hell, there's some people with academic full ride scholarships that don't get their money's worth out of that scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I mean, really, like, the goal of going to college is to get a degree and a job in that field of your degree. And Lord knows, we probably each know at least 5 people that have finished college and don't have a job in their degree.
Yeah, I know several.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, we've got several. I mean, Crandall, he's criminal justice, man. He owns a landscaping company. And, mine's pretty much near mine. I mean, it was poli-sci undergrad and business for graduate, but, I do both. But that wasn't my intent when I got him, is to be where I am now and basically in control of finance. It was I wanted to run a city or be an administrator for a city. Now I'm glad I'm not. My skeletons are happy in their closet where they belong. So big one we want to jump into. I know, Wes, you said you're caught up on this. I'm sure everybody here is. Let's talk about The Last Dance.
Talk about Rodman.
Yeah, talk about Rodman. What'd you think, Wes?
I mean, we're all pretty similar in age. So, like, that era of basketball and those athletes are, like, those were the superstars growing up. Those were the idols, like. So to see, like, this documentary is just, like, ultimate nostalgia. And, they're not young, but they're still, with it and, have good memories of all that stuff happening. So, I just want to see the more savage MJ stuff. Like, I saw stuff saying that, like, people are going to think I was, like, a bad teammate. I'm like, have you seen Kobe Bryant's practice videos? Like, you look perfectly fine so far. Like, let's see the savagery. So maybe it's coming. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's just I'll just watch that shit all day just because basketball is my favorite sport, and MJ is obviously the greatest and one of the greats. So yeah, something like this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, I was going to ask you guys, because one of the big things they hit on was Doug Collins and the relationship he had being there 3 years as his coach. Bear, what did you think? What do you think Doug Collins meant to MJ's career?
I mean, obviously this is the thing, is that I think MJ in his career, besides his first 2 years with Chicago, 3 years with Chicago, has had literally the best coaches ever. He had Dean Smith, literally the best college coach probably of all time. Maybe John Wooden. You can argue that however you want. And Williams was an assistant. Who right now is one of the best college coaches there are. I mean, and then you go, to Doug Collins, who is pretty good. He's not a slouch. Doug Collins is a good coach. And by the way, loved his hair back then too. Fantastic.
Hair goals.
And then he goes to Phil, who is probably the greatest NBA coach of all time.
Yep.
You can't knock that, but obviously that was huge, absolutely huge for his career, because it got everything rolling. I think it got, obviously Jerry Krause got players in line, but then you get better coaches, which obviously Phil was an assistant, got Phil to that level because Doug Collins just couldn't quite get him. Doug Collins is like Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
he got him there. Yeah,
he was a pretty good coach. He was close, but he just couldn't quite get him there, and they needed Phil to do that. And hopefully that's Mike McCarthy, but that's a different story.
Yeah, we'll save that. No, you're absolutely right, man. And some people miss too.
Huge.
And some people don't even know. You guys might already. Doug Collins was the first pick in the 1973 draft.
Really?
Number one overall pick, yeah.
Yeah.
And they got
that is a fun fact.
Yeah. He was on.
So let me ask you guys this: do you think MJ would have been the MJ we all know without a coach like Collins, who essentially pretty much let him blossom and do whatever he wanted and let him run the MJ show?
I think it would have eventually. I mean, he under Doug, he did get that. He was the MVP, All-Star MVP, the best defender in the league. I mean, Jordan had all that talent, and he let him do his thing. And I mean, Phil used it and knew how to use it too. I think it was great for him.
Yeah, I just watching those early episodes, I was like thinking, like, man, like I wonder if it would actually have been a bad thing if you had a coach like Phil from the start who wanted to just play team ball and wanted to sort of like put egos aside. And like if MJ didn't have those first couple years to really develop and blossom in the league, he may mentally not have been able to work with a coach like Phil, who's going to talk about team ball and triangle offense and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, they say like the first couple episodes, and they realized within 2 weeks of Michael being on the team that he was like the best player on the team in Chicago. So I mean, like without Doug Collins, I think Jordan would be more kind of like I think maybe more of a Tracy McGrady, like scorer. I think he would still have the points, or even maybe a George Gervin. Like he still would have had all the points. But if Phil doesn't come in and teaches him how to trust guys like John Paxson or Steve Kerr, and even Bill Cartwright, like none of this would even, he would just probably go down as one of the greatest scorers to ever play.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I was going with my point, and I agree 100% with that.
Because I mean, who could get you? That's how you know how great of a coach Phil Jackson is. If you get somebody like Michael Jordan to trust somebody like John Paxson.
Yeah, like Paxson.
A wide open shot.
And Paxson delivered though. Like I was like, who knows this Paxson guy? And they're showing these highlights in like a crucial game, and Jordan's like giving the shot to Paxson. Like what?
Right.
He was hitting him.
And instead, you'll get LeBron, who will give that shot to
Damon Jones.
Yeah.
Some bum.
That's all right, though. That's all right. The best part for me, though, I'm sitting here. I was watching it today as I was getting stuff done, and I'm just working away, and Kelly sits across from me, and we work for the same company. And then I hear Party Man come on from Prince, and I'm like, oh, Batman, 1989, Joker scene at the museum, and I'm just sitting here like watching it, I was like, oh, great song, great movie, nostalgia for me. I'm a big Batman fan. I mean, I don't know if you saw it, Wes. I mean, I got the Joker tattoo here. This whole sleeve is all Batman. Yeah, that's from serious. Killing Joke. Yeah, if you remember Kyle, God damn it, his last name. It's gonna get past me now, but he went to school with us as well, and he did all my tattoos, and Kyle Kozik, duh, and he did big tattoo art.
Yeah, yeah, I've been friends with him on Facebook, and I saw he's like become this tattoo artist and has all these piercings.
Oh, dude, he does amazing work too.
Yeah, he's good. Nice. Cool.
He did this Killing Joke right off the magazine, shadows in it, everything, and I love it. I had him do the whole half sleeve here and cover up some things and do my half sleeve on the other side, and not to get too far off topic, but that was with the Party Man what got me into, like, pulled me in even more. And I'm watching Jordan, that new king in town, and that's what he was, man. I mean, he was and he was no joke. Watching this is bringing back some good memories, and like Cody Bryant said, people are going to see why MJ is the GOAT. I know that.
Uncle Cody.
Uncle Cody giving us all that knowledge, dropping knowledge.
And then, do you guys think? I don't know. I might be in the minority on this, but I think Isaiah Thomas gets a bad rap, man. In this,
No, I loved it. I absolutely love that. Jordan still hates him 30 years later.
That was my favorite thing. Was like before he got the iPad or the tablet or whatever to watch the walk off. He described exactly what he was gonna say to the T. He's like, oh, well, of course he's gonna say. He's had all this time and like the people that and like his face is just like laughing. It's like
right.
It was absolutely fantastic. I love it. Only him. Jordan holds grudges against everyone still, and the dude
like 1989 from like one thing you did at one point in the game, and like I don't know if you guys seen like Reggie Miller talk about like one of his greatest career regrets was having beef with Jordan. Like he like randomly one game like pushed back Jordan, and then it was just like that was the worst thing I've ever done for my career.
Yeah, man.
I think Horace Grant though has he's got the new quote so far the first 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Bitches.
Yeah, that was great. That was so great.
I was shocked. Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I was gonna say like people have been hating Isaiah Thomas since like '87, dude. Like it's crazy.
And doesn't he look like a pastor? Now, I mean, he just looks,
he looks like a pastor. He really does.
Got all that money.
He really does.
He's got that sly grin, like he could like sell me anything, and I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you check his receipts, he's kind of a fucking shady pastor.
Yeah,
like, he's got receipts. So
he got in some trouble with like the Pistons organization a while back too, right?
Well, when he was with the Pistons, that was when when the Celtics beat the Pistons in 88 or 87. And Rodman said if Larry Bird was a black guy, he'd just be just another player. And then Isaiah Thomas backed him up on that. And freaking, that was it. Like Isaiah Thomas, he won shit after that. And then after he won 2 championships back to back. And then, they walk off on Jordan. So, like, not only did you get on Larry Bird's bad side, you got on Jordan's bad side too. And and this was all in Detroit still. And then he had, there's a story he came out. He had said some shit about Magic Johnson when first came out and said he was HIV positive. He was like kind of spreading rumors and saying like Magic was bi. And, a lot of stuff like that is pretty much what kept him off the Dream Team. So, that shit, man. And then like once they walked off on Jordan though, he never made like another all NBA team, no all-star appearances, like none of that. Like he was just basically like blackballed. And he was the first guard to win a title, like as a guard. Him and Joe Dumars, man, when they said you can't win without a big man, they won back-to-back titles without a big man. And I mean, Jordan doesn't get drafted to Chicago, man. Isaiah Thomas might be the greatest basketball player to ever come from Chicago.
Very well could be. I'll ask you, Cody, since you brought up Isaiah saying that. If Larry Bird was black, is he just another player?
No. Larry's a bad motherfucker, man.
Thank you.
No, like I mean his stats back it up that he's one of the greats. Like first and foremost.
Like his play. And I mean everything. Now, okay, Uncle Cody story time, all right? Back when Uncle Cody was younger, ESPN, before there was ESPN2 and the Ocho and ESPN News and all that, it was straight ESPN, and the only shit they had to show were old NBA championship videos. So, like, as a kid, man, like you could see how great Larry Bird was and how great those Celtics teams were, man. The Pistons teams, like you got to see all of that because that's basically all they showed on ESPN as a loop. And like Larry Bird was legit, man. Like I mean, like kids, look it up now. Look up just Larry Bird's trash talk. Like his trash talk is, none other. I mean, there is a story. I guess somebody was talking trash to him, and he said he'll shoot left-handed and drop 30. And he scored, I think, 35 left-handed.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
But what's cool for Jordan, which probably was like a really good like for him, is he not only got to whoop Larry Bird's ass as a competitor, but then when Larry started coaching, he got to whoop his team's ass when he was
right.
So that's got to be like a pretty good feeling.
Hey man, Larry's back was bad by the time Jordan got to the titles.
Yeah, Larry couldn't even stand up straight.
Yeah, that dream team, he's just laying on the court. He couldn't do shit.
Right.
And then, Magic had the HIV diagnosis, but we all know that it's still only HIV because he's drinking the money milkshakes like South Park told us. We all know that's true.
Hey, just a finishing comment on that. Steph Curry should be very happy that Larry Bird wasn't black, because if Larry Bird was black, Steph Curry would be a nobody right now. That's a fact.
I love it.
That's it. He really is, though.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you got uncles out there like me that remember a whole lot of better shooters than Steph Curry. I mean, I got to see a prime Ray Allen.
You mean Jesus Shuttleworth?
Right. That's what I'm saying, man. He had a whole movie.
Yeah. Dude, Uncle.
Oh, he got game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
Uncle Cody, I think you're old enough that you saw Jerry West in his prime.
Just towards the tail end.
Love it. All right, so as we're going to segue into the next one, got to thank a few more sponsors, of course. So got to thank Tim at Verizon. Verizon's a true technology business partner, helps local businesses deploy technologies that positively impact operations and can increase revenue for the company. At Verizon, we do not wait for the future.
We build it.
Get in touch with the sales rep in your area, Verizon.com. And then thank you also to Cassandra at PNC. You can visit her at the White House branch or give her a call, 419-877-0634. She can help with all your banking needs, whether it be loans, credit cards, personal banking. She is there to help. Again, visit her at the White House branch or give her a call, 419-877-0634. All right, so on to the NFL.
All right, hey, Gray, I don't want to cut you off, man, but can we at least talk about this Rodman story?
Yeah, go ahead.
How Jordan just straight up just kicked his door in and grabbed him by his nose rings and drug him to practice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting there telling the story. He's like, I don't want to know. I don't want to talk about what I seen in the room, who was in the room, doing what with who. I just went in, looked for Dennis, and walked back out.
The one thing Jordan doesn't spill or call someone out on that I want to hear, he holds that in. Like, really? Right. Rodman's married. It's not like he's got kids that he knows about. Like, come on.
Right. And I mean, technically, Rodman was in the room with his wife. I mean, Carmen Electra was in there. She said she was hiding behind the couch with a blanket over her head.
It's just a testament that he's a true man. Keeps his secret.
I was kind of intrigued by just watching him like walk down the hallway holding a Miller Lite, walking into the game.
Yeah.
It's like fantastic.
Rodman was a bad boy, man. He was legit.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit. And I didn't realize, I wasn't paying close attention last week. This week I was. I didn't realize that ESPN was allowing the F-bomb, fuck, just to drop left and right. It's like, damn, Disney, give you credit.
Yeah, man.
About time they do something, because I think this was originally always supposed to be a Netflix special. I don't think it was ever meant until this happened, which is why they got both. Now, I can only imagine that if anyone's watching on ESPN2, it's got to be the pastors from Chicago. Like, that's it. No one else is watching on ESPN2. There's no way.
I just couldn't believe that they were letting that drop. It's 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and just even on ESPN, I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, not on Disney, not on the mouse.
Yeah.
But they do. But I think my favorite, because I read a couple stories came out after the fact. So the two that got me was Carmen Electra and Rodman. She came out and said that he banged her all over the Bulls practice facility, by the way, which is
hilarious. Best respect.
And on their first date that he went and picked her up, she didn't say if he was under the influence or anything, but he picked her up and got on the highway the wrong way and was driving into oncoming traffic before he turned around.
Oh my God.
Oh,
It is crazy. Those are the stories they said were left off the documentary. She said like 3 or 4 more things that got cut. I'm like, why would they cut any of that?
Right.
For real.
I get it.
That was
Last Dance about Jordan, but come on, man. We want to hear the Rodman stories.
Yeah, I mean, Rodman doesn't really seem like he would give a shit anyways.
No.
Right.
No.
Well, they say that's when he stopped giving a shit once they let his contract run out in Detroit. Like he never got an extension or whatever, and then they ended up trading him. And I think that's when he realized the business side of basketball.
Yeah.
And he just stopped giving a fuck after that.
Yeah, he's gonna blow his brains out in his freaking car in Detroit, and they're like, "All right, San Antonio, we don't want to deal with it." Can you imagine if that happened today? Holy shit, a franchise would shut down.
Right.
All right. So on to NFL, we had the draft, the virtual draft, very unique way of doing things in this quarantine, and the Joe Burrow went first, as we thought. Pretty much knew the first 3 with Burrow and Chase Young and Jeff Okudah. After that, I'll start with. I assume all of us watched it. I'll start with you, Wes. Who do you think were the winners of that draft? What teams?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I should admit first, I actually didn't watch it, but I'll just say, big fan of Big Dick Joe. He's from Athens, Ohio. I went to school at Ohio U in Athens, so I'm just have I don't know if since he went to Cincinnati, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll see how that goes. That I don't know. Cincinnati just always seems to be like one of those cursed Ohio teams that looks great on paper and just usually blows it. But maybe he can spark something new. But yeah, I'm a big fan of him. Like those memes of him smoking cigars after the championship game and all the money he raised for Athens and all that. So he's got my vote.
Nice. Cody, what teams do you think won that draft or had the best draft?
You know what, man? I think it's I would say probably the Vikings and the Cowboys. They probably had the best the best drafts out of anybody. I mean, Jerry still being Jerry. Like, I mean, people don't give him credit for how he can draft. I mean, he's a great general manager. Like he gets guys there. It's just the coaches where he kind of falls short. But I mean, the Cowboys had a really good draft, and I would say the Vikings had a really good draft. I mean, any draft that you can have 15 picks, I like that. I don't know. To me, that seems like a good draft. I mean, that's a whole freaking, that's a whole unit that you basically redrafted. So I mean, they were able to get a decent wide receiver to hopefully replace Diggs, and they just kind of plugged in holes all around the team. So I would say the Vikings and the Cowboys.
Bear, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean the Vikings are up there. I think the Browns are up there as well. I think the Browns had a good draft. The Bengals had a good draft. I mean, you get the best quarterback, and you got probably the 3rd or 4th best wide receiver. I think T. Higgins was going well under the radar. The fact that he dropped to the first pick in the 2nd round is impressive because he should have been a first rounder. So those are my top. It couldn't get much worse than Green Bay's draft, but Philly was right there as well. So those are my worst. Green Bay, I think, is just kicking Rodgers out. It looked like. I get it. You got to build for the future, but you still win with what you have right now. It's not like you have a 39-year-old guy who has 2 busted knees and a busted shoulder, like Brett Favre kind of was so beat up when he was there. When they drafted Rodgers, they are getting, Rodgers is fairly healthy. 1 broken collarbone and a fucked up knee, I think, at one point, but that wasn't even that bad. They're still in an area where they can win, and pretty much they got beat by San Francisco, destroyed by San Francisco twice last year. So you would think you want to draft to beat San Francisco, right? Because that's the team they couldn't beat last year. They went 13-3 and they lost to San Francisco twice. And we got a quarterback who I like, Jordan Love. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that pick. I think they could have waited, but I don't think there's anything wrong there. But they drafted no wide receivers, reached for a tight end. It was ugly. Eagles taking Jalen Rieger as their first wide receiver, a guy that is very good, very talented, fast, but has drop problems. Like, that's the Eagles' biggest problem is wide receivers the ball, and they picked a guy who his one flaw is sometimes he catches a case of the dropsies. So that's wild to me. I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible though, but Dallas, I mean, dude, that's the best drafts ever. I think, and it's hard to say because it's just a draft, but just off of talent of what was there and who they could pick. I mean, guys that should have been drafted before. I mean, CD Lamb dropping to 17th is ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Trayvon Diggs was the 35th best player. He went 51. Gilmore was the 53rd best player. He went 82. Reggie Robinson was a second round talent and went in the 4th. Happy with the center they got. They Frederick retired, obviously, so they went from Wisconsin center to potential Wisconsin center.
Yep.
And then they got Bradley Anae out of Utah, an edge rusher, which they needed. And then they got a quarterback because they really, Cooper Rush is okay as a backup, but they need a third quarterback in there to press a little. And they got a guy, honestly, I never even heard of. I watched some of his highlights, and he's a big, like 6'5", like 230 or something like that. And he's got a big arm, not that accurate, but still impressive. So I was very, very happy to see what they did there and what they got. By the time that CD Lamb got there, I kind of that's what was going to happen there. At that point, I no longer wanted an edge rusher out of LSU. Give me Lamb, because honestly, everyone's going to score. You saw what the Chiefs did all year. No one can stop the Chiefs, right? It's offense, 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 offense. So if Dallas can go offense, 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 and get a couple stops, that's what in all honesty. They'll be able to build a little bit of a defense, but McCarthy, obviously you saw what he did with Rodgers. He wants to throw the ball. So why not go get, I think, the best receiver there, especially if Jerry Jeudy did have a little knee injury like some are speculating he did.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not to be, I know we're both Cowboys fans, but I got to agree with you. And then fun fact about so I won't even say anything about Dallas because you said everything I wanted to say, so thank you. And but about DiNucci, the quarterback from James Madison, fun fact, Mike McCarthy's brother was DiNucci's 8th grade basketball coach. So
there you go.
Found that funny. And then something I did want to mention, though, that another team I thought had a good draft as well was the Ravens. They got Patrick Queen in the first round. Then they get J.K. Dobbins. They're the number one running team in the NFL, and they fucking get Dobbins on top of it.
And they got Malik Harrison from Ohio State, I think, as well. Underrated linebacker.
They got Devin DuVernay from Texas too, and then they got you're right, Malik Harrison from Ohio State. It was just like, what in the hell? And then they got Bredesen from Michigan. I think they got him as well, the guard from Michigan. They got him in the 4th, and I can't remember some of the other guys they got, but it's just amazing to me that the team that is right there, they need to keep up with the Chiefs, but because it's going to be Chiefs and Ravens, I think we can agree for a while. But absolutely fantastic. And then one thing I put a note in here, I was like, I don't know how the fuck Brian Lewerke signed with a team, but he signed with the Patriots. So
yeah, I saw that. I thought that was very interesting. I was like, okay, that's an odd for them, but that works.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I honestly, and people are going to say, Belichick isn't going to tank. I think they're all out for Trevor Lawrence. All out for Trevor Lawrence next year. Unless, for whatever reason, all these rumors are true that Aaron Rodgers is starting to get frustrated and LaFleur doesn't like him and they trade him to the Patriots, which would be fucking wild. I think that the Patriots probably tank this year and and get Trevor Lawrence next year. I really think that's a possibility.
Aaron Rodgers has been frustrated since they came back from that Super Bowl that they barely won.
Well, they didn't barely win. They were up in that game. The score was closer than what the score was closer than what it should have been.
I mean, they've given that man no help whatsoever.
I agree.
You imagine how good the Packers could have been if they actually got skilled players around him.
I don't know if you saw.
I know what you're gonna that stat.
The
first round pick stat.
He's thrown one touchdown to a first round pick in his entire career.
Right. Like, how crazy is that?
Which is, I mean, don't get me wrong though, but that's, they're like the Belichick way. They've drafted receivers who haven't been top guys, but like Jordy Nelson was a nobody, absolutely fantastic. James Jones was a great route runner, could play. Greg Jennings, dude out of Western Michigan, was, always a good catcher, but he just made himself in the NFL. You get that a lot. So It's a crazy stat, don't get me wrong, because I think Manning threw like 286, but he also Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Demaryius. Right. But think
if Aaron Rodgers would have had some talent just remotely comparable to Reggie Wayne or Demaryius Thomas or Marvin Harrison.
And I agree, but the problem is too is their defense let them down for so they needed a defense more than he's had sufficient weapons. Their defense has sucked forever. That's the problem.
Right. They need everything, but they don't want to pay anybody either, though. They're kind of like Cincinnati, to where, they try to give this the front like it's we're the hometown team, and we're like a mom and pop football team, but and they just don't want to pay anybody. And in the long run, it kind of hurts them because hell, they lucked into Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, when they drafted him, it was only because they didn't know if Brett Favre was going to retire or not. And that was, I think, the second or third time where he was indecisive on whether he wanted to stay or go. So they drafted Rodgers just as a backup plan almost, or a contingency plan. And, it kind of worked out for him because of how great of a quarterback he is. But, when you have a guy like that, man, you got to try to get him some help on both sides of the ball. Because I think that right there, not having, first round caliber skill guys at receiver and running back, I think that kind of turned him into a more cautious passer.
Yeah. And Brett Favre did, since speaking of that, Brett Favre did say he does not think Aaron Rodgers finishes his career with Green Bay, and I completely agree with that.
Oh, so man, somebody tell Brett Favre shut up and send another dick pic to somebody.
Do another commercial.
Somebody that you didn't even talk to.
Yep.
He had no relationship whatsoever in Green Bay, and yet
I bet
you have.
I do bet he's talked more to Aaron Rodgers than Aaron Rodgers has talked to Aaron Rodgers' parents.
Right.
Or his brother that was on
especially
Bachelor,
right?
Bachelor.
You know what? If I had a brother and he went on The Bachelor, I wouldn't talk to his ass either.
One thing I did want to mention too, another person that signed undrafted was Bronson Recksteiner, son of Rick Steiner from WWE lore, running back, fullback from Kennesaw.
Right?
What's that?
He signed with the Ravens too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He's a big motherfucker. If you haven't seen him, he said he's not turning down or focused on a career in wrestling. He's leaving that door open, which he'll probably end up there. But right now he's focused on his career in the NFL. We'll see what happens. They are a running team. They might use him. You never know. All they do is run. They might have 6 fucking running backs on their damn team.
Yeah.
All right.
And then also,
go ahead.
I gotta try to look his name up real quick. Mike Warren II from Central Catholic.
Yeah.
Signed. He signed with
Philly, I think, wasn't
it? Yeah, signed with the Eagles. So
nice. And Another thing, so a few things to wrap this up, and then we'll thank our last sponsor, get into some trivia. And then Parrot's going to be hopping on. Zazu, the great hornbill, will hop on here shortly. He just sent me a Snapchat. He was walking by my house and said, almost home. I'm like, what the fuck? But fun facts. So the Saints backup quarterbacks completions to Saints players. Taysom Hill, 7. Jameis Winston, 10. So I found that pretty good. And then 20.
Are you going to let us know? Are you going to let us know why you just said that stat?
Oh, of course. Jameis, all he does is throw picks. So he's going to.
No. Well, who did you just sign with?
The Saints.
Well, you didn't say that.
Sorry.
You got to lead with that. You just give stats on that. You got to say why Jameis is throwing 10 fucking completions to the Saints.
Well, I opened with Saints backup quarterback. So I think people, hopefully they realize that when I mentioned that part.
Taysom Hill is a Saints backup quarterback.
Yeah, and receiver. He throws farther than Drew Brees, as Cody said last week.
I did see that ESPN Fantasy is making him a tight end / flex play this year.
Like it.
He's not going to be a quarterback.
So when he does start a quarterback, we'll play him in that.
Someone drafts him there, a dumbass. But.
Yeah, no shit.
Taysom Hill is Tim Tebow if he would actually listen to people in the NFL.
All right. So last thing on the NFL, 2021 NFL draft is going to be in Cleveland, April 29th through May 1st, 2021 at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So maybe we'll go.
Place they could have it at.
Yeah, maybe we'll go party in Cleveland. We have some fun in Cleveland. We got to go back for that Tecmo Bowl when Jeremy's in the Tecmo Bowl tournament. We're going to go out there. So, well, as long as the quarantine allows us.
Yeah, I've already tried to get a hotel room for the draft, so you can't get them yet, though.
Oh, well, good. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so last but not least on our sponsors, of course, we have to thank Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com.
Yeah, once we get out of quarantine, if we ever do, it would be great if you could spruce in your game up and talk to the opposite sex of who you'd like to on that. So reaching out to Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com, you can get you a consultation. You could probably do it on Skype or Google Hangouts or FaceTime or something and be able to help you out, get your game ready for when all this is lifted and the bars are back open again, hopefully here by June or July or 2021. Any of those time frames would be fantastic. So reach Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com, sprucing up that game.
That guy's a dating coach?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yes, he is. Connell Barrett, he's third on the Google search for dating coaches?
Third on the Google search, yep.
Is he local in like the Toledo area?
No, Manhattan actually, but he a lot of it
services the Toledo area.
I'm sure he does.
He's more local than us.
Yeah, he flies out to, what did you say? He flies out to LA and all these other things as well, right?
Yeah, he goes everywhere, but it's a lot of his. He takes anybody. He doesn't care what it is, but a lot of his stuff is more of like the upper executive business guy kind of thing. The 40-year-old guy who's worked his entire career to get to where he's at and just hasn't done anything or wants a relationship or some shit like. That's mostly what he is. He's actually my uncle, so I know him very well.
Nice.
So I like to plug him.
He probably fucks.
Well, hey, maybe he can get out there and what is that? I don't know where she is now. Chicago, LA. Get out to Kristen Cavallari. I heard her and Jay Cutler split up.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So last time, thank you to Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com. All right, so now we are back, and we had someone else finally join us after his long day at work.
Zazu is here.
And perfect time, Zazu. Zazu, meet Wes, the man behind Moments in Time for the show.
The man behind the great magical music.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you as well.
And again, of course, we got to mention you again, Wes. gave us Moments in Time for the show as the theme for the show. And again, had Mind Quarantine come out last Friday with Ted Bone from Pacifier. Check it out. It's fire, man. It's a good song. And so I didn't ask you earlier. I meant to ask you, I love all the artwork for your songs, man. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, sure. So yeah, the guy that did Mind Quarantine actually did my other single, One of One. And so when I had gotten in touch with him for One of One, he sent me a bunch of ideas, and one of them was the idea that eventually became Mind Quarantine's cover. So that time, which was like in 2018, I was like, this is cool as shit, but it doesn't work for One of One, but I want to keep it in my back pocket. So I thought it fit for Mind Quarantine. And then beyond that, it's been random people. Some artists I've worked with before with my old bands, people I know personally. For the song Many Ways, it was my old college roommate. He just put a doodle he was working on Instagram. I was like, dude, that's sick. Like, you want to turn that into a cover for me? And he was like, yeah. So, yeah, just like the music collaborators, the artists have been a really fun part too, because I'm big on everything looking as good as it can and matching the vibe, and something you're going to look at for a long time. So it's something I really invest a lot of energy into.
Perfect. Thanks, man. And I love seeing that because the artwork that comes with it, I love it. And again, just for everybody, listen to anything, any of those songs there from Wes Anderson. I've Got Your Back, Kid, One of One, Mind Quarantine, and of course, Moments in Time. Check them all out. How many songs do you have out right now, Wes?
So Mind Quarantine was the 5th single. Or no, it was the 6th. It was the 6th.
Which two am I missing?
So it was like Moments in Time, One of One, I've Got Your Back, Kid, Many Ways, Keep Them Talking, Mind Quarantine.
There it is. So definitely, again, Spotify, all your musical outlets, streaming services, check out Wes Anderson. Again, Wes Anderson Music on Facebook. Give him a follow on Twitter at Songs by Wes. So we're going to go into some trivia. I'm going to present my screen to you guys, and we'll use Wes. So this is new to you. You'll see the questions from Jeremy, and then just use the chat box when we go over the questions. And when my screen is shared, just let me know that you guys can see the questions. I'll scroll in a little bit so we can see them a lot better.
Okay, got it.
All right. So first question for everybody. First up, let's start with a 2-point NBA question. Which Orlando Magic coach was fined in 2009 after saying the NBA should do away with the Christmas Day game? And then, Bear, after this, you can give us an update on those points if you got them.
Yeah, I'd do it right now. So update on the points. Gary at 361, myself at 303, Cody Bryant at 287, Parrott at 176, Dub at 29, and Wes, you're sitting at 0 right now.
So what is this chat? Like, what are we using the group chat for?
So right there, just to put in your answer to the question.
Oh, shit. I guess it probably would defeat the purpose if I just Google this, huh?
Yeah, that's the point. We're not supposed to Google it. But if you want to, I didn't hear you.
Oh, shit. Bear, you probably have it.
Go ahead, type it in.
Type it in, my man. I love all So we got Stan Van Gundy. Can't think of his name, but it's a bigger guy with the mustache. Van Gundy, Stan Van, Fat Van Gundy, and Bald Van Gundy's brother, Fat Brother. So thank you, Jeremy. Those are some great answers. I love those. Here we go. Stan Van Gundy. So give everybody 2 points. Here we go. That's a great start. All 5 right.
Yeah.
All right, the next one. Here's 2 points for each.
Nice.
All right, here's a tricky NFL question for you guys. Who is the only kicker who has converted over 90% of his field goal attempts in each of the last 3 years? Since this is a tough one, I'll let everybody name 3 kickers. If one of your 3 guesses is the correct answer, you get 3 points. Oh, Jesus.
Damn. Hell, I got to think who's still in the league.
Right. Because the last 3 years.
Uh-oh. There we go.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not all I got.
Elam? Oh, shit. Jason Elam?
He's still kicking, ain't he?
He's been retired since like 2008.
Oh, well. Hey.
I love that. That's my favorite.
And then we got, so we're waiting on Wes there, but I'll start reading them. So Bears got.
He put in Tucker.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, because it was right after that. I see Fat Brother, and I skipped over Tucker. All right, so we got Tucker for Bear and Wes. We got Boswell, Tucker, Goskowski, Tucker, Goskowski, Elam, Tucker, Vinatieri, Goskowski. So we'll tell Jeremy to go. We'll see how many points we get. If one of your 3 guesses is the correct answer, you get 3 points.
If it's not Tucker. Oh, Jesus Christ.
What the fuck?
Hey, what did they pay?
He wouldn't have been in my top 3.
Nope.
Yeah. Didn't say nobody cares about the stupid kicker?
All right. Okay, so time. Okay, so Wes, I got to tell you how this goes. So time for a very difficult prove it game. How many can you name of the last 10 pitchers to close out a World Series game? Or close out a World Series, not a game, the actual World Series. Go around saying how many you can name until everybody tells you to prove it. If the person gets the number he said, then they get 10 points. So Wes, how this works is I'll start with like you, and if you say you can get 1 right, we all either say prove it, or somebody else will jump in and say no, I can get 2 or 3 or so on, and then eventually until we all agree for somebody to prove it, then they got to prove it.
Gotcha.
So Wes,
I have to go.
I'll let you go, man. Do you think you can name 1?
How much time do I? Give me like 10 seconds. Give me like 10 seconds right now.
All right, we'll give you 10 seconds right now. We'll pause for station identification. We're from the pod room, live at my house. So, listening to 106.9 The Bear. So.
The views expressed in this podcast are not exclusively those of.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the Astros guy because I've been following their scandal. And I got nothing.
All right, we got none. Hey, can anybody name 1?
I can name 1.
All right, Cody Parrott, either you name 2.
I'm going to plead the 5th on this one.
Why are you going to plead the 5th?
I don't know any.
So how many? I guess we should ask him. So you get what? You don't get 10 guesses. You just got to start naming them, right?
I would assume.
No, I think it's. Don't we got to put it in there? You just want me to name 1? Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to think if I can name 2. I got to think of the last 10 World Series. Ugh. What year is this? Okay. You've got 1. Nobody can go 2, huh?
Nope.
The sad thing is I might be able to go 2, but I can't go 3.
You know what? I'm gonna just let you take the opportunity. I've got enough points. I'll let you take the opportunity to get 1. So I'll tell Jeremy in the meantime. Jeremy Bear is going for 1. That's all. So your first guess has to be right, or this whole thing's over.
I hope I'm right with this, and I can't remember, but I'm hoping it was within the last 10 years. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Papelbon, Red Sox. He had to close something out.
Spelling it wrong.
I don't know though what year that was. Is the problem?
Here we go. Papelbon is in.
The only other one I could think of.
Correct.
Oh, shit.
Everybody here gets 10 points, but Bear.
Put in Chapman. 5 points, son.
No.
Or 5 points. You're right. I'm sorry. 5. That was. Oh,
Dude,
shit.
That's.
So Daniel Hudson, Washington, Chris Sale, Boston, Charlie Morton's probably who Wes was thinking of, Houston, Mike Montgomery, the Cubs, Wade Davis, Kansas City, Madison Bumgarner, San Fran, Kohei Uehara, From Boston, Sergio Romo. San Francisco, Jason Mott. St. Louis, Brian Wilson, San Fran. That was tough. Yeah, it was very tough. So
Man, I should have known the Nationals guy because that was big news around here.
Yeah, come on, Wes.
Yeah.
Last year. I didn't know it either. I would have said, we know it's not Bryce Harper.
I mean, the Orioles were such a joke last season. It's like all about the Nationals.
Absolutely. So let's end with a bonus NFL draft question that most likely Cody will be the only one to have a chance, but we'll see. The Kansas City Chiefs selected Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the final pick of the first round. In the Super Bowl era, who is the only other running back with a hyphen in his name who has been selected with the first round pick? 6 points for a correct answer. If you want a hint, team or year, it will drop it down to 4 points for the correct answer. If you want both, team and year, it drops down to 2. So first off, does anybody want the hint?
No, hold on.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to put mine in too.
Oh.
I'm going with you as well. Yep.
I don't remember. I don't think he was. I can't remember if he was a first round pick or not.
I don't think he was, but
that's the only one I can think of with a hyphen in the name that was a running back.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot.
Walter Gary Payton.
Kareem?
Yeah, Kareem.
I think it was a Dolphins pick.
Wes has got nada. We got Jones Drew and Abdul Jabbar. No hints? Nope. So we'll see what Jeremy says here. As you can see, Wes, Jeremy's got some good shit.
These are tough questions.
Oh, Kachana Carter.
Yeah, there's no way I would ever know that.
See, we were all thinking last names.
Yeah. Were.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Very good questions. So he'll give his little take. They were extremely tough tonight. Yeah, thanks. They were very tough.
Ooh.
At least Bear gave us some good points. Thanks, Bear. Gave us some freebies.
I can't believe Papelbon didn't. That had to be like 08.
Dude, I was gonna say Chapman.
That would have been my other one. That was it. I had Papelbon and Chapman. Those are my only two.
And who did they say it was for the Cubs on that one? Mike Montgomery.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Chapman got Rajay homered off of him, so that went to extras. But I thought Chapman won another one.
Oh, God damn it. Here we go. So I got to read this whole thing from Jeremy. So his rebuttal from last week, I agree it's difficult to compare players, but everybody on the podcast before Cody was a regular said LeBron was the GOAT. So you guys did start this, LOL. I feel opinions are very biased here because you all grew up with LeBron. Jeremy is around Uncle Cody's age. He was the favorite player for two of you, so of course you will think he is the best. I hated both MJ and LeBron equally as players and watched them both play, so I feel I am much more unbiased. By the way, Wes, he is a Utah Jazz fan, huge Utah Jazz fan.
Love John Stockton.
There we go. And then, heck, the year Jordan left Chicago to play baseball, I was a huge Bulls fan because I wanted them to prove they were good without him. Actually, they were screwed in the playoffs against the Knicks. Hopefully they cover that in the documentary. So who knows how far they could have gone. But that is unfair to use that season as an argument against MJ. They still had the greatest coach of all time and a top 50 all-time player in Scotty. Both times LeBron left Cleveland. The Cavs purposely tanked. I disagree with that. Disagree completely.
Kyrie led a whole fucking season, and they still only won 20 games.
And I mean tanked for a number one pick. If Kyrie did not leave and it was his team this past time LeBron left, he carries them into the playoffs in the weak Eastern Conference just as he did with his subpar
Kevin Love. Season. Of course he would. He's got Kevin Love.
Yeah, and then subpar net season. If you really want to compare things, how about when Jordan left the second time, the Bulls finished 13-37. Must have been a strike season. Then the following season, they went 17-65.
Wow.
Well, everybody was gone. Heck, the Bulls turned into an absolute joke a la the Cavs, so that argument has no merit the year Phil and Pippen stayed. As for the will to win at all cost statement, maybe I was a bit harsh, but the year against the Mavericks, he and Wade were mocking Dirk. Man, this is long. After a game and joking around. It's like they weren't even taking the series seriously and were so overconfident. He just never appeared to me to have that killer instinct during games. His flopping and overdramatics just take away from the intense competitiveness to me, I guess. He's the strongest guy on the court, yet he plays like a soccer player at times. But again, I agree it's tough to compare. He's more Magic Johnson than anybody. That's who LeBron should be compared to. Final thing I'll say on this, because you are right, we can go in circles all day and nobody is changing their mind. But I do believe anybody in any sport can be the GOAT. If they have a losing record in championships, that to me should be a universal rule. You can be an all-time great. Dan Marino was the man, but he cannot be the GOAT. And just getting there doesn't mean much, or Jim Kelly would be considered a GOAT. The Eastern Conference was a joke for so long. LeBron's teams were favored to win the East every year with the talent he had, just like the Pats should have won their division every single year with the horrible teams they had. Okay, enough on this topic. Enjoy the rest of the documentary. I don't think I could have put up with Rodman's antics like they did. See you for wrestling. So thanks again, Jeremy. Thank you.
That's a lot to unpack in that message. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
Rodman
what?
was a monster, though. He stayed in the film room. Like, Rodman put the work in.
He did. He was tough.
Like, it's just the off-court stuff, but, what he does off the court ain't got nothing to do with it, and there was I listened to a interview that they did with somebody that covered the Bulls around that time, and they said, for all the shit that Rodman did off the court, Rodman basically, he was a model citizen once he got in the doors, like he was kind of like a teenager, you go out and rabble rouse,
hard, play hard,
still come home for curfew.
Yeah, that's just how it was. And and Jeremy, as always, Wes, you can see Jeremy puts this kind of work into both our sports and wrestling shows each week. And we've done a few Jeopardy shows. I think we've done 3 now, and he gives all the questions for Jeopardy for those. And
those
we
are
had
questions. Those are good.
And his some of the ones he did last week, you missed out on it. Some math questions, they're great. But again, Jeremy, thanks for all you do. We're still looking to hopefully come to Cleveland to support you in the Tecmo Bowl championships. We're hoping to come down there with the OTL swag, support you. I know you'll be wearing yours, and I hope we can just get drunk in the background and be your crowd, your cheering crowd.
So there's a tournament for Tecmo Bowl?
Yes. There's a few.
Amazing.
I can't remember the other games. Yeah, right. And it's on. I think you said it's on Super NES, right?
Yep.
That's sick. I never knew that existed. I'm not surprised.
No.
But God, that's awesome.
And so we've got the fun thing I saw, last fun thing, and then we'll get into on this day in sports history. We had, what did I see the new name of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is? They're calling them the Tampa Gronketeers or some shit. Some shit like that. We'll see how he does, man. With Arians, got a good coach there. We'll see what they do. We'll see what he's made of at this point. He's in a tough division. All right. So with this, how we wrap this up, Wes, is I give you guys a statistic or something that happened on this day in history, this day being April 29th, and you guys just go around giving me the year. Closest gets an air high five with of course, some nice, wonderful virus-free air high five. All right, so first one up. Boston Red Sox Roger Clemens strikes out 20 Seattle Mariners.
87.
87 from Parrott. Cody?
Like 92.
Wes?
I'll say 95.
What'd you say, Bear? I'm sorry.
86.
86 is correct.
Oh, shit.
All right. How about, let's go back. There wasn't a lot on this day. Don Bradman scores 107. Oss versus Works, 152 minutes, 15 fours. Cricket legend he is.
I guess. God dang.
77.
69.
58. 1958.
I don't know. 70.
48. Wes gets the point, or the air high five. All right. Charlie Riley, this will be my last one, is baseball's first pinch hitter.
1904.
Oh, no.
1912.
1899.
35.
1892.
Dick.
Wow.
There you go, Zazu. All right, so birthdays on this day. I know we talked about one earlier. Dale Earnhardt is that magic number, would have been the magic number 69. It's hard to believe, man. He died. He was, 49 years old?
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. Mike Babcock, NHL coach. Of course, I know you Red Wings fans know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
We talked about this man earlier, but 55 today, Reggie Miller.
Okay.
A lot of birthdays. Damn.
Yeah, Curtis Joseph, Team Canada,
Joe.
Edmonton Oilers. Big 50th birthday to Andre Agassi.
Nice.
A lot of damn birthdays on this day.
Yeah. Big birthdays.
How about NBA guard God Shamgod?
What was that?
Happy birthday.
And the now about to be divorced, happy 37th birthday, Jay Cutler.
Happy birthday. Here's the divorce papers.
Yep.
Man, he's probably having a rager at his house.
He probably is. 37. This was a fun one. And thanks, Wes, for joining us. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Definitely.
I hope you come on again, man. Come on soon. I mean, we're quarantined, not much to do. Hope you can join us again soon.
Yeah, same.
All right. So again, thank you to Wes Anderson for Moments in Time. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on Twitter at Songs by Wes. Get on all your streaming services. Check out Mind Quarantine from Wes Anderson, featuring Ted Bone of Pacifier. It's a hit. Check out all his other 5 songs out there. You will love them. And be sure, of course, like we said, the Twitter, man, at Songs by Wes. I'd love to see some of the things you got on there, and he had some good collaborations. I know you said you got another song, hopefully next summer. You mentioned.
Yeah, it should be about July or August. The next single.
Perfect. And this year or next year? I'm sorry.
This year, yeah.
This year, awesome. So look forward to that. And then, of course, thank you to Brandon at All Wear Clothing. Thank you to Crandall's Quality Lawn Care. Tim at Verizon, Cassandra at PNC, Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com. Sorry to Sparty Steve. We didn't get you on the show again today, but thank you for the Frickers lunch at episode 100. We look forward to hopefully getting out to the right field office for episode 200 to record, and hopefully you can help us out there again. And as always,
get outside for episode 200.
Well, that room's big enough that we can spread out. So, but as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Bring back my sports.
Going to put my mask on.
Sham God.